Hey, Don Pikula here, and today on Air, I have a guest that has decades worth of audio visual experience, owning his own studios, someone who had invested all the way up through 4K cameras and is still doing this professionally, even after a pandemic took a lot away. So as an inspiration for someone who can continue in an expertise that they dedicated their life to and transition into something for the future, not just stuck in their circumstances, but making their own way. I want to introduce to you Mr. Rory Graham. Rory, thanks for being here. It's great to see you, sir.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Don.
Question right off the bat. This is turbulent times. I mean, as we're filming this right now, there's an impending election, there's inflation, there's homes are hard to buy. There's possibly World War III. I'm giving you all these things going on right now for context. It can get really distracting and really confusing. But what's something that you're seeing right now that those that you help, those that you interact with, need to be thinking about, or what has shifted their mindset?
I think people are focused on initially are focused on the economy and things like that, and they're fearful as to because they don't know what's going to happen. I think a lot of them are just being inundated with news, negative news from every source, from whether it's the TV or whatever. And so events like we're seeing affect all of us in many different ways. It depends on, I guess, your mindset. A few years ago, I would be right in there. I would be watching the news every night, and I would be, really into it. And it's not that I'm not an ostrich. I don't have my head in the ground. I do know what's going on. I keep up with what's happening, but I turned off the news. I haven't watched the news, just regular news programs in for the most part about 2 years. And the reason is because as a video producer, I realized, and this is probably not where you want me to go, but you can cut this. But as a video producer, I realized that the news that you're watching, no matter where you're getting it, is manipulation. It is the producer's story that he sends the people out, gets the thing, and gets the footage, comes back and edits it into the view that he wants you to have. I've been to events and then watched the event on TV, and you wouldn't even know it was the same event. It just depends on the slant that they want to give it. It depends on what the producer's view is. So I don't mind being manipulated by Steven Spielberg to believe for a few minutes that there are dinosaurs. I do mind being manipulated by CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or whoever it is into trying to convince me what to think. I would rather be presented the facts and make a choice. So because I think what they do is they're trying to sow division and fear, and that is impacting everybody. I don't know that that's what you
No, Rory,
want.
that's perfect. That's exactly where I actually hoped you would go, because you're actually a news maker. You stopped watching the news because you realize you have the power, not just as an entrepreneur and a video producer and someone who's been in audio visual and in this media for decades. You're now becoming your own media company, and you're sharing the message that you want to share, that you know will help people, particularly who've been through some of what you've been through, and people who can relate to you or relate to me. I would tell you that the television itself doesn't have very much for you, but the great thing that people have the ability now is to turn on their camera, produce some video, produce content that can really help people, not scare them, not manipulate them, not tilt or slant, but actually help people. And
Right.
that's what you're doing now.
Yeah, and through the use of this technology that you helped me acquire, and I was doing something kind of similar to this, but on a larger scale. I had a studio, I had three cameras, I had a crew. We were doing something called Hampton Roads Business Live. We did almost 400 episodes of it. and we were with local businesses and everything. It's really nicely done. It looked good. It sounded good, and it gave businesses a chance to promote themselves. And all that went away with COVID. But this has given me an opportunity to do something that I've wanted to do. Number one, I have two podcasts. One of them is they're just starting out. They will be online as of mid November, no, mid October. Um, one of them is Newsmakers, which is very similar to Hampton Roads Business Live, except I don't need to stick with Hampton Roads. I can do it anywhere in the world with this thing, and I can do it by myself, and I can do it from this bedroom that I'm sitting in, and I can do it with minimal equipment, and I can control it by myself, and I because I don't have a crew anymore. The other one is called Success Tracks, and it interviews people that are successful, and they're successful in marketing or sales or business or relationships or whatever, and we analyze that success as to what do they think was the deciding things that made them successful or helped them. What were the keys to that success? Because so many people get in business and they fail, and then the ones that are do make it the first year, in 5 years almost all of those fail. About 10% survive. So it's not an easy game. And more people are dissatisfied. More and more people are looking for something. And now through technology and all, we have the power to speak. And we need to use it, I think. And this technology can help us speak when everybody's shutting us down. You saw that, like during the pandemic, you were prohibited basically from posting things on certain things on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google. I mean, they'd shut you down and you'd end up, out as an outcast. This gives you a platform. And these platforms of podcasts, I've studied what's going on, and what's going on is podcasts are just increasing like crazy. And the where the broadcast media has not just leveled off, they're losing viewership because people don't trust them anymore. They're starting to wise up and realize that they are being manipulated. And anyway, I will need to get on my soapbox.
No, listen, that's why I wanted to have you on. I mean, you've seen this. You've been in this industry for decades. What you're saying is being confirmed, and it's proven. And even if it wasn't, I don't want people to look at this and think that they can't get a message out. I know they have a message. You know they have a message. Most people just won't take the steps to get it out. They don't think they can afford it. They think it's going to cost a lot of money. They think nobody cares. But Rory, I mean, you doing these videos. You've done videos for businesses, for people, for individuals. It's not easy necessarily to tell the story through video. Sometimes some clients you've worked with, it may be like pulling teeth sometimes to get them through the story. But the end result's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, can't we tell a great story and shine light on positive things too?
Well, I that's what I like to do, and I think that can be very inspirational. That's what Success Tracks is all about, and giving people the opportunity to promote their business helps them too. I'm a believer that when you give, it comes back to you at least 5 times over. Maybe not from the same source, but it comes back to you, and that's always been the case throughout the 40 years in business that I've had. So I'm trying to do that. I restarted my life after I lost my wife. I went through a real tough time there for about a year and a half. I lost my wife, my brother, my father, and my business.
Wow.
And it's not to say poor me, but I was pretty devastated, and I took a year and re-examine my life and what I was doing and what I was going to do and restart everything. And so I've become a writer. I have 4 books out there now. I'm working on a fifth. I have started the 2 podcasts. I still have my video company where I do websites and things, and all, but I've downsized that. I'm no longer beating the bushes out there for big jobs and things because I just don't. That's my heart in it isn't in it anymore. And so I've determined that I'm going to help as many people as I can as long as I'm here. And so that's what the books do. And that's what these two podcasts do. And I am really glad I found this technology because I didn't know how I was going to pull it off. I wanted to do it, but I just didn't have the people to do it. And I didn't have the space to do it because I'm back to my home. I lost my 2,000 square foot studio. So anyway, that's what this has enabled me to answer that part of what I'm doing, and so I'm very thankful that I happen to see that ad on Facebook for your product.
Well, and let me take them just for a moment to your website. I have your website here. So, if they're looking at these books, I mean, right now you got video production, and this is actually, I know we didn't talk about this, but format transfer services, Rory, there are so many people right now that they're on the verge of losing memories and history. I mean, what this man's doing, and then website design, Rory,
We do an
this is
awful lot of
incredible.
that, Don. We do an awful lot of it.
Incredible. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to put this link in the description of this video, and then
Yeah.
I'll take them also to see your books. They could. I picked one of these up the other day. It's on the way. I haven't received it yet, but or this is incredible, man. And you told me privately that you really dove into writing these books. These really came from your heart and soul, right? This wasn't I'll become an author to make money. This was I have something I got to get on paper.
No, no, the book, my first one, Did I Tell You I Love You Today? I started that about 3 weeks after my wife passed away. We've been married 50 years, and she had Parkinson's for 23 of those years. So when she passed away, although I knew what was coming and she did too, it was pretty devastating. And I use the book as a way to cope with that. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, so I just wrote day and night basically, and I wrote and rewrote and rewrote and rewrote. Anyway, the story is about 95% true, and it is about actually us, my wife, and myself, and about our life in 1980, and it has 12 life lessons in it that I wrote for my kids and my grandkids. And it's woven within the story. So it's not like a TED talk or a lesson or something that you've been boring. It would be something they hopefully they get from reading an adventure story. And so I wrote that. And when people read it, they suggested that I get it published. So I ended up getting it published. And then I wrote the caregivers one. As a caregiver, I had experience with that. So I wrote that one. And That's called Finding Light in the Darkness. And then through my research, trying to make myself happy, I had a lot of research on happiness and what makes you happy. So I followed it with that book. And then I compiled the Parkinson's book is actually a very clinical book. It's probably the harder one to read of them because it is such a serious subject, and but I support a lot of Parkinson's organizations, and I'm very close to that. I had been a past president of the APDA, American Parkinson's Disease Association, and I work with Michael J. Fox Foundation and things like that. So it's a disease I'm very familiar with. So all of these things were made to help people, and the fifth book I'm working on is going to be the same way. But I'm still working on it, so it's kind of work in progress. So amongst all of that, I do the video stuff, and now I'm doing podcasting at the same time. So it keeps me off the streets. So
Absolutely, and you're starting to help people that have been in similar situations or will be going through what you went through. People who have a change, whether they asked for it or not, it happened to them in life, and that's really the only thing we can depend on is that things will change. Not always for the better, but in the moment we really can't tell what's good and what's bad. It just is, and it's kind of the way we react and handle. And we're all here for a limited time, and it's finding our purpose. And I think that's something you're helping people do.
well, I think that this whole time of reflection, that year after she passed away and everything, especially, and since that time, I have been restarting my life and everything, but I have a whole new appreciation for life, and I just look at every day as a gift. Every moment is a once in a lifetime moment. We're never going to get this again. You and I may do another podcast at some point, but not this one, So what we're doing right now, everything you do, I'm also a believer that everything you do matters. It matters in some way down the road. I mean, it's like dominoes, it's like the butterfly effect. And so I think we need to do as much good as we can do. And and for as long as we can, as long as we're given. And the other thing I learned, I think, is that I don't have all the answers, not the smartest guy in the room, but I don't need all the answers. I think there's a plan, my personal belief. There's a plan, and I guess I must be a part of it because I'm still here. So I'm trying to work my part of it to the best of my.
Spot on. Well said, Rory. Well, it's rorygraham.com. We'll put the link in here. You'll see his other Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube here as well, which will be populated with multiple podcasts now. We're extremely proud of what you're doing, and I know there's people you're here to help. I think you summed it up perfectly. You're still here, so you're still something you're supposed to do. Is there anything you see coming up for you in the future? Anything we should be? They're going to check out your website, get a couple of the books. I got a couple on the way for me. But is there anything that you'd like to end with here? Anything maybe that they need to be aware of?
Well, I'll tell you what. We started asking about the state of things and how people feel and everything. Let me just give you something that works for me and has been working for a very long time for me, and I learned it from my wife. As you're might feel depressed because of the situation, you might feel anxious or whatever. But when you're not feeling exactly happy about your life or about your situation and everything, one of the things that you can do is you can list 3 to 5 things. I happen to do 10 every day that you're grateful for. And if you do that, and there's certainly easily 10 things that you're grateful for. I mean, if you live in this country, you're in the top 2% of the people in the world. But if you are just grateful for the food, your home, your family, your wife, your whatever it is, your job, it's very difficult to be grateful and depressed at the same time. It's almost impossible. So it may not fix everything, but it will sure put you in a better frame of mind to handle whatever you encounter during the day. So I find that being grateful every day, started off with that, has been a real asset to making me feel better every day. And I learned that from my wife, who seriously had Parkinson's, for 23 years. And she was always happy. And I would ask occasionally, how do you feel like that? And one of the things she would do was say she was just grateful every day for several things that she would list. And then the other thing that she taught me was help other people. If you're helping people, it makes you feel great about yourself. So there you go.
I love it, Rory. Well, pick up the book, Did I Tell You I Love You Today? rorygraham.com. Rory, thank you very much for the time with us. It was phenomenal to have you, and I'd love to have you back. There's no doubt about it, sir. Your wisdom today has been very well received and will be well received by the audience. There's no doubt about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
By implementing just one of Don's moves, our team closed about $50K in sales dollars that we thought were dead in just about 10 days.
And you won't even need to build the studio. You won't have to buy all the stuff, the interactive whiteboards and the mixers and the backgrounds and the lights. And you know that $20,000 here is scratching the surface, right? You don't need any of it.
I was really stuck. Nothing was working because I had some meetings on Zoom meetings and they couldn't hear me, and I had tried everything. If you had not held my hand, literally held my hand, I wouldn't get this far. But I love it. I'm just so amazed at how good it looks. I love it.
Synchronize camera with audio. A minute and a half into speaking with Don. Solved.
And you know what, Don, and I just want to say again, given how supportive you've been of me, you keep coming back and checking in, and I'm just, thank you.